You ever seen someone get blasted by a cloud of neon powder right in the middle of a quiet suburban afternoon? Because I have, and it happened on my lawn. That's the day Karen, the self-proclaimed queen of Pleasant View Heights, finally learned what boundaries really mean. My name's Walter Collins, and I live in one of those neighborhoods where the lawns are too perfect, the fences too white, and the HOA too nosy for anyone's good. You know, the type where community harmony is just code for follow my rules or else. For a while, life here was quiet, until one woman decided my lawn was her personal shortcut. Her name was Karen Whitaker. Mid-40s Lululemon, everything white visor, Bluetooth headset glued to her ear. She power walked like she was late for the Olympics, cutting straight across my front yard every single afternoon like my grass was some public sidewalk designed just for her convenience. At first I tried being nice. I caught her mid-stride one morning and said, "Hey, could you please stick to the sidewalk? I'm trying to get the grass to grow back in that corner." She didn't even pause her phone call. She just smirked and said, "It's just grass, Walter. It's faster this way," and kept walking. Just grass. Like my time, my effort, my home, none of it mattered. So I bought one of those cute little "please keep off the grass" signs with a smiling gnome. Thought maybe humor would do the trick. 2 days later, it was gone. Not blown away, not broken, gone. Found it later buried under a pile of yard waste in her bin. That's when I realized she wasn't just oblivious. She was sending a message. I put up a small decorative wire fence next. Only a foot tall, something subtle, not aggressive. The next morning I watched her approach it. She stopped for half a second, then lifted her Lululemon-covered leg high like she was stepping over a hurdle and kept walking. Didn't break stride. My fence had become part of her damn workout routine. That's when irritation turned into obsession. I contacted the HOA Pleasant View Heights Association, where the bylaws read like scripture, and the board's main hobby is avoiding responsibility. I got a polite letter back, all formal and useless. The association encourages friendly communication between neighbors to resolve property concerns. Translation: we don't care. Fine. I called the non-emergency police line. The dispatcher was patient but firm. "Sir, unless she refuses to leave or there's property damage. It's a civil matter." Apparently, stepping on my lawn wasn't illegal enough for them to care either. Days turned into weeks. My pansies were flattened. My patience wore thin. I tried a motion-activated sprinkler next. Elegant, harmless, just a gentle burst of water to startle her off my property. That lasted 2 days before she marched straight to the HOA office, dripping wet and furious, demanding I be fined for water nuisance. The HOA actually sided with her. I got a written warning for unapproved irrigation causing neighbor discomfort. That's when I realized logic doesn't work when the system's built to protect the loudest voice. And Karen was the loudest. I felt powerless, cornered. I even started to doubt myself. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe I should just let it go. But then I looked out the window one morning, saw her cutting across again, stepping on the same damn spot like she owned it, and something in me snapped. I told myself I wasn't looking for revenge, just balance. Something that'd make her think twice without hurting anyone. That's when I found it. Late one night, scrolling through forums, I stumbled onto videos of Color Runs, those events where people get covered in bright, non-toxic powder. Cornstarch and dye. Washable. Harmless. But humiliating as hell if you're not expecting it. And that's when the idea hit me. What if every time Karen set foot on my grass, she got a face full of color? Not dangerous, not damaging, just inconveniently spectacular. I spent nights in my garage tinkering. Plastic tubs, Spring's little CO2 cartridges. I tested prototypes in the dark, tweaking pressure plates until a normal step would trigger a perfect puff of powder. Magenta, blue, lime, violet. I even labeled them. It felt ridiculous, like I was starring in some suburban spy movie. The next day I called Mike the landscaper down the street to aerate my soil. Told him I had some experimental moisture sensors I wanted installed. He didn't ask questions. By sunset, 6 little powder mines slept beneath the grass, invisible, waiting. Then came the day. 3:15 p.m., like clockwork. Karen appeared in full athletic glory visor down, phone in hand, marching toward my property. I watched through the blinds, heart pounding, the second her foot hit the grass. Poof! A burst of magenta shot up around her leg like a smoke signal from hell. She froze mid-step, confused, muttering into her phone. Then she took another step. Poof! Electric blue this time. By the third step, lime green joined the party. It looked like a rainbow exploded at her feet. She screamed, dropped her phone, waving her arms like she'd been attacked by ghosts. Neighbors peeked out their doors. One kid actually shouted, "Cool!" I couldn't help it. I opened the door pretending to be shocked. "Oh my God. Karen, what happened? Did you lose a fight with a unicorn?" She pointed at me, shaking, covered in neon streaks from her leggings to her visor. "You did this. You booby-trapped your lawn. You attacked me." I played dumb. "Attacked you, Karen? It's just color. Maybe it's pollen." Her jaw dropped. Pollen doesn't come in lime green. Within hours, she'd called everyone, the HOA, the police, probably the Environmental Protection Agency. That evening my phone rang. Brenda from the HOA sounded exhausted. "Mr. Collins, we've had some very colorful complaints from Mrs. Whitaker." "Colorful," I said. That's one way to put it. 2 days later I got 5 violation notices in the mail. Creation of public nuisance. Use of unapproved landscaping devices. My personal favorite installation of prohibited booby traps. Apparently the HOA had a rule for everything, even creative revenge. Then came the cops. 2 officers, one older and one young enough to still find everything funny. "Sir," the older one said, "your neighbor claims you've rigged explosive devices." "Explosive," I laughed. "It's cornstarch and food dye. You want a demo?" The younger cop perked up. "Actually, yeah, but the older shot him a look." "Let's not." He sighed. "Look, it's not a crime, but it's a liability. What if a kid runs across or a mail carrier?" I nodded. "Understood, officer. But she's been trespassing for months. I was just encouraging her to stop." From her porch, Karen shouted, "He assaulted me. Look at my clothes." The cop turned to her and said, "Ma'am, if you keep crossing his property, you'll be cited for trespass." For the first time, Karen shut up. That should have been the end. For a week she avoided my yard like it was radioactive, took exaggerated detours, dragging her little dog into the street to avoid even brushing against the grass. For the first time in months, peace. Sweet, colorful peace. But peace doesn't last in neighborhoods like mine. The HOA kept sending letters. Fines piling up, 50 here, 100 there. Words like aesthetic disruption and environmental concern. Brenda even left a voicemail, "Walter, between us. Please just take them out. The board's under pressure. Karen's loud." I didn't want to cave, but the stress started eating at me. Then one afternoon I caught 2 neighborhood kids daring each other. "Bet you can't make it across Collins's lawn." Before I could stop them, one boy ran full speed and poof! Purple cloud everywhere. He laughed, his friend screamed, and they took off. I just stood there frozen. That's when it hit me. This had stopped being clever. I wasn't the victim anymore. I was the crazy guy with landmines in his yard. That night I sat at the kitchen table surrounded by HOA letters, fines, threats of liens. My lawyer called it a liability nightmare. She said, "Walter, even if she was wrong, you can't win by breaking the rules. Sometimes the smartest thing is to walk away." I wanted to argue, but deep down I knew she was right. I looked out the window at that faint diagonal cut across my lawn, the scar Karen had carved over months. It mocked me. Was I really going to let her win again? I didn't sleep that night. A few days later I went to the HOA meeting. Maybe I was hoping for closure, or maybe I just wanted to look Karen in the eye one last time. The clubhouse was packed. Karen was already there, waving photos of her stained leggings like crime scene evidence. This man, she announced, turned Pleasant View Heights into a hazardous zone. I took a breath. "With all due respect," I said, "you trespassed on my property for months." I asked nicely. I begged. The powder was harmless, washable. The only thing bruised was your ego. The room buzzed. Brenda sighed. "Mr. Collins, regardless of intent, your actions caused controversy. We have to maintain harmony." Karen smirked, folding her arms like she'd just won a court case. You see, even the board agrees it was reckless. I wanted to yell to remind everyone how this started, but arguing with an HOA board is like shouting into a fan. The noise only comes back at you. I left early, head spinning, realizing no one really cared who was right. They just wanted the noise to stop. That night I stood by the window again, looking out at the patch of grass that had consumed my summer, my patience, my peace. And for the first time I admitted something to myself. I was tired. Tired of fighting. Tired of feeling like the villain in my own neighborhood. So I made a decision. I'd dig them up. All of them. Quietly. No speeches, no drama. Around midnight I slipped outside with gloves and a flashlight. The air was humid, the cicadas loud. I knelt by the first little mound, dug carefully, and lifted out the first device. A faint pink powder dusted my hands. It looked harmless now, almost innocent. I cracked it open, dumped the powder into a trash bag, and moved on. One by one I unearthed the rest: blue, green, orange, violet. Each puff felt like releasing a piece of the anger I'd been holding. By the time I was done, my gloves looked like a painter's palette. The lawn looked wounded but clean. Back inside, I wrote Brenda an email. As of tonight, the experimental soil sensors have been removed. No hazardous materials remain. I CC'd my lawyer for good measure. 2 days later, the HOA agreed to waive most of the fines if I signed a statement promising not to install subsurface devices again. I signed it. The next morning, I caught Karen standing on the sidewalk staring at my lawn with that smug little smile. She didn't say a word, just turned away, certain she'd won. But here's the thing, she never stepped foot on my grass again. Not once. Weeks passed. The gossip faded. Kids found new dares. The HOA moved on to someone's mailbox color, and my exploding lawn became legend, a funny story told at block parties. Karen still avoided eye contact, and I was perfectly fine with that. Silence, it turns out, is the purest form of peace. Then one morning I saw something that made me laugh out loud. The neighbor's cat, Mr. Thompson's Tabby, had rolled in a leftover patch of neon orange powder. It strutted down the street, glowing like a radioactive Cheeto. Kids followed it, calling it Rainbow Kitty. Karen came out pointing furiously, yelling, "See? He's still contaminating the neighborhood." No one listened. She just looked ridiculous. Standing there, coffee in hand, I finally exhaled. After everything, the letters, the fines, the stress, I'd learned something. Boundaries matter. Not just fences or signs, but the quiet kind that protect your peace of mind. People like Karen will always test limits, and sometimes when reason fails, creativity has to take over. Mine just happened to come in neon. So yeah, revenge felt good for a moment. But peace? Peace is better.